Not all bread is created equal, especially for kidney health. Let's break down the best options, what to look for, and I'm going to provide you with specific brands that I recommend as a renal dietitian. So, what makes bread kidney friendly? These are the most important things that you want to look for and consider when you're choosing which bread to buy. While I'm going to give you a list of actual brands that I recommend, it's still important for you to know what to look for on a label and make a kidney friendly option wherever you live and wherever you shop. And before I go any further, you need to know that if you're still being told that you have to eat white bread and white grain products, that's incorrect. It's old, it's outdated advice to tell someone with kidney disease that they have to avoid whole grains and eat white products. Now, let's get back into what to look for and choose the best bread for kidney disease. And the first thing you want to look for is the sodium content. So, ideally, you want the sodium to be less than 140 milligrams of sodium per slice of bread, or you can look and see are the milligrams of sodium less than the total calories for that slice of bread. Either or would put it in a typically a lower sodium range per slice of bread. Now, considering all this, it's important still to think about how many slices you're having and what you're having with the rest of the meal. Let's say your bread is 150 milligrams and it falls outside of that less than 140 milligrams per slice, and you have two, that's 300 milligrams of sodium. Now, if you're adding deli meat and cheese and pickles and all these high sodium foods to that 300 milligrams of bread, that is going to be a very high sodium meal. The overall goal for kidney disease and to be a low sodium meal is that can you keep it at 500 milligrams or less sodium for that entire meal? So maybe you're making a sandwich, you have two slices of bread, it's about 300 milligrams of sodium, you add mustard, you add mayonnaise, or you make a veggie sandwich or even a tuna sandwich that has no sodium added to it. You can swap the cheese for a little bit of avocado, you can add lettuce, onion, cucumber, tomato, and your entire meal can still be low in sodium. And you might even still have room there where if you're making a veggie sandwich and have other low sodium options, you can probably put a pickle slice on there or something like that. And if the slice is higher in sodium and large, like think a piece of sourdough bread, just use one slice. Make a smaller sandwich or make an open face sandwich. That way you can still make it a low sodium option and a low sodium meal. So to recap that, in general, you're looking for your slice of bread to be less than 140 milligrams of sodium per slice, or to have the milligrams of sodium be less than the total calories for that slice. Now, the next thing you want to look for when choosing a kidney friendly bread is for there to be no phosphorus additives. You have to check the ingredient list for this. Baking powder contains phosphorus additives, so it's commonly used in baked goods, but it's not always used in actual like slices of bread, especially sandwich bread. So you're going to want to turn it over, look at the ingredient list, anything with PHOS, disodium phosphate, phosphoric acid, hexaphospho, whatever. You want to avoid bread products that have these phosphorus additives. That phosphorus is more readily absorbed and utilized and can contribute to higher blood phosphorus levels. And the next thing you want to look for is fiber. So ideally, we want to aim for 2 to 3 grams of fiber per slice of bread. And I like to give this range because if you're having a thinner slice of bread, it might be more common to only have 2 grams of fiber. But if it's a normal sized piece of bread, then 3 grams of fiber or more is what you're looking for. Now, do you need to worry about potassium in bread? No. Honestly, no. The potassium content of bread is fairly low, even for whole grain breads. It can range from anywhere from 50 to 150 milligrams of potassium per slice, depending on the bread. Do not stress or worry about the potassium in your bread. You have enough to think about when it comes to what to eat for kidney disease. Don't stress about the potassium in your bread. And that's it. Those are the main things to look for. So, quick recap: lower sodium, 140 milligrams or less per slice, higher fiber, 2 to 3 grams of fiber per slice, and no phosphorus additives. That's it. Now let's cover some brands that meet all or most of those guidelines. So the first one is Ezekiel bread. If you haven't heard of Ezekiel bread, it's a bread that's made by the company Food for Life. And these are sprouted grain breads that are a great source of fiber and plant protein. And while they actually have a low sodium option that literally has 0 milligrams of sodium, many of their regular products that aren't labeled low sodium actually fall into that low sodium category of less than 140 milligrams per slice. Ezekiel breads also list the potassium, phosphorus, and other micronutrient and mineral content for their breads on their label. So it's really nice for you to be able to see. And keep in mind that since Ezekiel breads are sprouted and they don't have other like additives in them, they tend to be more dense. Some people don't mind that, but if you do, simply toast the bread even a little bit, and that helps a lot. If I'm making a cold sandwich, also toast Ezekiel bread just for like a small amount, not so it's super crunchy, but just it helps take away kind of that denser sprouted bread feeling, but that's Ezekiel bread. The next bread option is Dave's Killer Bread. So the best options are going to be their thin slice options. All of their thin slice breads are 2 to 3 grams of fiber, have no phosphorus additives, and they're less than 140 milligrams of sodium per slice. Even their white bread falls into that category for the thin slice breads. Now, for the regular slice breads, the Power Seed is the only one that meets the low sodium cut off at 130 milligrams of sodium per slice. And this one actually contains 4 grams of fiber per slice, which is another plus. The next brand is called One Degree. Actually, all of their bread varieties meet the kidney-friendly requirements that I discussed before. This brand has other, great products like oats, but their bread, they have 3 or 4 different bread varieties, and they all meet those kidney-friendly requirements. The next one is called Silver Hills Sprouted Power. When you first look at the label, you might be thrown off and think, oh, it's high in sodium, but if you look at the portion size, it's for 2 slices of bread. So on a per slice basis, then it would meet those kidney friendly requirements. No phosphorus additives, less than 140 milligrams sodium per slice, and then no phosphorus additives, 2 to 3 grams of fiber per slice. Okay, now another type of bread where most brands can work with some special consideration is sourdough bread. So the great thing about sourdough bread is that they rarely have phosphorus additives in it. It's pretty simple ingredients in sourdough bread. One thing to consider, sourdough bread is lower in fiber. It's usually only 1 gram or less of fiber per slice, but it does have a lower glycemic index than other white breads, meaning it doesn't spike your blood sugar as quickly because of the fermentation process of making sourdough bread. So it might be totally fine for you to have. And most slices are larger and therefore higher in sodium. So usually they're anywhere from 200 to 300 milligrams of sodium per slice. But remember, if you're using one slice, you're making a sandwich, cutting it in half, or you're doing an open face sandwich, then that's the same as having 2 slices of another brand, and then it equals out to be, 200, 300 milligrams of sodium total for the bread. So well, I wouldn't recommend having a giant sandwich with like 2 big slices of sourdough bread where each of them are 300 milligrams of sodium and have barely any fiber. One slice of it could easily fit into your kidney-friendly diet. Now, just a reminder with some of these brands that I've recommended is just because one bread option from a brand doesn't have phosphorus additives or is low sodium, doesn't mean all varieties from that brand will be. You want to double check the label each time you buy bread and ensure that the ingredients and nutrition information haven't changed since the last time you bought it. Manufacturers can really change it anytime they want, and they don't have to announce it to you. So even if you're like, I've always bought this Dave's Killer Bread Thin Slice Power Seed, turn it over when you're buying it at the store, do a quick scan, make sure it meets those kidney-friendly requirements, because you don't want to buy it and they get home and be like, oh, shoot, they added phosphorus additives to it, and now that's in your bread. So where do you buy these breads? So Ezekiel and Dave's Killer Bread are pretty mainstream now. You can pretty much find them at any grocery store. You can find them at specialty grocery stores. You can also find them places like Target and Walmart and Costco. One thing to keep in mind with the Ezekiel bread is I've seen it at Trader Joe's in their regular bread aisle. I've also seen it at like a Sprouts in the fridge section. And I think I was at Stater Brothers or another just normal grocery store, and it was in the freezer section. So depending where you shop, look there and look in those different sections. Ask someone who works there if you need help. But sometimes some of these more specialized breads, if they don't have, things added to them to make them more shelf stable, then they might be in the fridge or the freezer section. Um, and then those other two brands that I recommended, those outside of the Ezekiel bread and the Dave's Killer bread, those are more specialty brands. So they might be at a health food store like Whole Foods, or maybe you can find them at a Target. But ultimately, you want to go to their website, search the location or this little where to buy tab on their website, and you can see if it's available near you. And if you absolutely can't find any of these options, just take 5 minutes, investigate what's available in your store, and meet those three main kidney friendly bread standards. So that's less than 140 milligrams of sodium per slice of bread, 2 to 3 grams of fiber per slice of bread, and no phosphorus additives in the ingredient list. Now, something that would be super helpful for everyone who's watching this video and following this channel and trying to protect their kidney health is share in the comments what your favorite brand of bread is. Or if you make your own bread, that is still on my list of things to do, is to start making my own sourdough or other breads. But share your favorite recipe of how you make your own bread and how you make it more kidney friendly. I always think it's amazing when people do their own, or again, you might have a specific brand that I've never even heard of because it's not available near me, but someone else could benefit from it. We can really all learn from each other on this kidney health journey. So please remember to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share with anyone that you think would find it helpful. And I will see you guys next time.